We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance when we get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening. Today is Monday, October 19, 2020. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education. Do I have a motion to enter the meeting?
Motion.
Motion? Lori? Anyway, second? Second, Laura? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well, all right, so we're actually going to just break and go right into executive session, and then we'll speak about some personnel items, and then we'll be coming back at 7:30 for the regular meeting. Do I have a motion to enter executive session?
Motion.
Lori? Cynthia, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, good evening again. Today, again, is Monday, October 19, 2020. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education. If we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we just came from executive session. We're going to be going back briefly to finish up a discussion. So now we will get going with our meeting. And let's see, we're starting with some presentations. Well, actually, we'll start with board comments first. Let's start on this side this time. Cynthia, you have any comments?
Not tonight, Pete.
Not today? Okay. Laura?
Just a quick welcome back, and I feel like I haven't been here in a long time. I just want to thank Dr. Goodman and all the administrators again, as we have done in our past meetings, for all your hard work. I know this hasn't been a very challenging time, but I feel like we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from parents and students, so thank you. And to the teachers and the staff and everyone for really doing an amazing job of getting through this and in a very positive way. So thank you. And I just look forward to, we're going to be planning retreats and workshops, so lots of good stuff coming up. So I'll keep it short.
Great.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Laura. Therese?
I really have no comment either.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Lori?
Again, to reiterate what Laura said, so far everything is running pretty smoothly from what I hear in the community, and we've made it to our midway point of the marking period, and progress reports have come out. And so thank you to the teachers and the administration for all of your hard work and care that you're showing to our students. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't have much tonight either, just to give a little preview of what's coming up. Laura had already kind of alluded to it, but just so the community is aware, we are going to have our board retreat the 27th of October, a week from tomorrow, although we may have to make an adjustment to that. We're not sure yet, but that's the planned date right now. And typically we have that retreat in the summer, where we kind of get together as a board and discuss goals and kind of look at the year ahead. Talk about committees and communications and the evaluation tool for the superintendent. All that stuff usually happens in the summer. We weren't able to do it this summer because of all the chaos with COVID and all the planning and preparation that the superintendent and her staff were engrossed in. So we kind of let them off the hook on that one this year and kind of pushed it forward. So we do want to get that done, and we're going to look to do that, an abbreviated version of it on the 27th, and we'll report back to you guys afterwards. But we're going to talk about, some of those things I just mentioned, some strategies and goals and things of that nature. And then we're going to have a workshop. We haven't had a workshop yet this year, again, because of COVID, so we want to get back on schedule with that. So November 9th, we're going to have a workshop, and we've asked that workshop topic to be a little look at finances. One of the things that, we're just a little concerned as a board about how we stand right now with the budget, given all of the changes, unexpected changes and unexpected deviations that have happened because of COVID. We want to kind of check in with Ms. Lou and see where we're at and see how we're doing with the budget for the first quarter. So we're going to make that the topic of our first workshop. And that, on the heels of the audit presentation today, is a good segue into us then having another workshop after that to discuss possibly doing something with the field. We talked about maybe having that presentation in this meeting, but we think maybe it's good to look at the finances first. It's a good foundation for that conversation. So that's just a little preview of what we have coming up. That's all I had. Okay? So now we'll go to comments by the superintendent. Dr. Goodman?
Good evening, board members, colleagues, and community members. We are having a great start to the school year with in-person learning for special education students and K-3 students, and hybrid for grades 4 to 12, and fully remote to those families that request that option. I am very proud and thankful to our teachers and staff who effectively are delivering synchronous instruction. We're about 6 weeks into the school year, and teachers and staff are regularly using creative ways to engage students, whether remote or on site, and they really are doing a great job. I've been in and out of classrooms, and I can attest to that. They are learning to use technology in more and more creative ways. We need to continue the strategy to require face masks, hand sanitizing, and social distancing for all grades. On a positive note, there have been many studies that show that K-12 schools are not super spreaders. Unfortunately, over the past week, the New York State Department of Health has identified a dramatic spike in COVID-19 positivity rates in New York counties. New cases in Westchester are up to numbers we have not seen since June. Active cases in Westchester surpass 1,000. As you consider plans going forward, we ask that you please be safe and follow DOH guidelines, as we are following our guidelines in the school. Another unfortunate news I have is I found out late this afternoon that we have another positive individual in the Cottle School. We have actually completed our contact tracing with the Department of Health, and it is only a very small group of students and staff who will be affected. Those students and staff have already been contacted by our administration and will be quarantining. They will also be contacted by the Department of Health. On other news, Tuckahoe Sports, we're off to a great start. Our assistant principal of student support services and dedicated coaches have resumed our sports program as allowed by the Department of Health. We kicked off the fall season with our boys and girls varsity soccer teams, getting in their first couple of days last week. Our junior varsity also has started, and they will be having a very good year. The girls varsity tennis team opened their season and played hard at Leewood, and we are having more games coming up. All the games for our teams can be viewed on Local Live. Last week was Custodial Appreciation Week. I want to take this time to thank building maintenance staff. The custodial staff continues to maintain our facilities to a very high standard and develop comprehensive cleaning protocols for each day during this pandemic. A little shout out to high school guidance. They are now wrapping up with our senior grade level individual meetings in which they cover the college application process, submission process in depth. Soon they will be beginning meetings with 9th grade. They have individual meetings at that grade level and discuss getting off to the right start in high school and also looking at a 4-year academic plan. Around mid-year, once we have 2 quarters of grades and at least one SAT, ACT assessment, they meet with junior families individually to create a preliminary list of potential colleges and or appropriate post-secondary plans. They also have meetings with 10th graders and hold workshops for the 10th grade students to conduct career exploration. In addition to the aforementioned individual meetings, we have a parent information night at every grade level. Now, on this School Board Recreation Week, Recognition Week, I hope you will join me in giving thanks to our board members who lead and support our school district on behalf of our community. They lead with a clear vision of what needs to be done for the good of the district. Their goal is to make sure that students in our districts are learning and achieving at a high level. I have found that communications between myself and the board is timely, consistent, and focused on the needs and expectations of the district, as I'm sure you all have seen. They continue to build a culture of transparency and collaborative leadership to build upon our successes and needs as necessary. I personally would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to one of the hardest working committed boards of education, the Board of Education of the Tuckahoe Union Free School District. We are blessed to have, and so am I, a dedicated group of individuals who voluntarily give an enormous amount of their time to fulfill their roles. Their sustained leadership and grounded decision-making with students always has students' well-being at the forefront of their work, and is a major contributing factor over the years before I got here. Is a contributing factor really to what makes Tuckahoe School District so great. Thank you all for your support and dedication. It has been an extraordinary year as we continue to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Even in difficult times, the days have flown by. I would like to thank the teachers and staff once again. Their work has been amazing, and I also want to thank the administrators who have led along the way. And I thank the community for your patience and understanding as we continue this journey together. The support that is given to our schools has been wonderful. Tuckahoe is truly a great place to be. I am now going to ask the district clerk to read a proclamation from the town of Eastchester to the board. I think she has to go up there because, so we can film it. Ms. Dunn, can you please read the proclamation that was dropped off today?
Board, it is my honor to present to you from the town of Eastchester, New York, the proclamation of the town board. And I'd like to read that proclamation to you all. Whereas School Board Recognition Week is an annual event celebrated in school districts throughout New York State. And whereas we in the town of Eastchester are fortunate to have among us those rare and special individuals who give tirelessly of their talents and who are committed to enhancing the quality of education our children receive. And whereas the members of the 2020-2021 Tuckahoe School Board include President Peter Casson, Vice President Laura Benke, Trustees Therese Gardieri, Lori Gerald, and Cynthia Tate. Whereas these dedicated members of the 2020-2021 Tuckahoe School Board are deserving of our praise for their leadership, efforts, and service. They work tirelessly to improve the quality of education offered by the district, and their unyielding commitment to excellence can be seen in countless young people whose lives have been shaped by the outstanding educational opportunities in the town of Eastchester. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Anthony S. Colavita, Supervisor of the town of Eastchester, on behalf of the Town Board of Eastchester, do hereby present this proclamation to the 2020-2021 Tuckahoe School Board for their many contributions to our community. Given under our hand and seal on this day, Monday, October 19, 2020, signed by the supervisor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for reading that, Robin. Appreciate it. And thank you, Dr. Goodman, for those very kind remarks. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing, and I'm sure the teachers and staff and everybody really appreciates the work of this wonderful board. I also want to thank the PTA. They have been doing so much to help our schools, and there is a special event that will be happening. I'll let them, if they want to say it yet, so that our students our elementary students and something a little bit for the middle school, high school, can enjoy Halloween. They are our partner in everything we do. They've helped us set up the beginning of school year. They provided a special treat for our custodians today, and the appreciation that I have for them is very deep. So I'm sure you might say something about it tonight, but I'll leave that to you. But thank you, everyone.
All right. Great. Thank you very much again. Very nice. Okay, move on to the next item, which is comments by the Assistant Superintendent for Business.
So at this point, I would like to just briefly introduce our external auditor, Alan Walther, who is a partner at the Bonadio Group. He is our new auditor that began this year. He and his staff completed a financial audit of the school district, and he is here tonight to present to the Board of Education the results of his audit. And I will allow Mr. Walther to please come up to our podium.
Yep,
and
go ahead,
make your
thank you very much.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Just to reintroduce myself, my name is Alan Walther. I'm a partner with the Bonadio Group. As Lee mentioned, we were appointed as the school district's external auditors for the year ended June 30th, 2020. We completed our audit last week, issued the final audit documents in time for the October 15th filing. I'd like to thank Lee and Faith especially. We completed the audit almost entirely remotely. We did come to the school district one day. Myself and one of our staff came for one day. The rest of the work was done remotely. That's really more of a heavy lift for the school district than it is for us. All the documentation needed to be uploaded electronically. And for a first-time audit, we thought it went very, very well. I met with the audit committee I believe 2 weeks ago or so, and reviewed the results of the audit in detail with the audit committee. For tonight's meeting, I'd just like to go over some of the highlights of the results of the audit, some of the significant financial numbers, and then I'll just open it up to any questions that the board may have. Okay? So the overall result of the audit, we issued an unmodified opinion on the school district's financial statements. That is the highest level of assurance that we can give on your financial statements. That is the audit opinion that all of the users of the financial statements will be looking for. The state education department, the state controller's office, any of the bond rating agencies, unmodified opinions, highest level of assurance we can give. With regard to internal controls, we had no internal control findings, and with regard to compliance findings, there were none as well. So the overall results of the audit, very favorable, unmodified opinion, no internal control findings, and no compliance findings. Some of the financial highlights, your general fund expenditures totaled approximately $34 million. The school district had a net favorable budgetary variance of approximately $2.9 million. That's the net of the revenues and the expenditure overage. Your total general fund balance at the end of June was approximately $8.3 million, of which $4,697,000 was restricted for various purposes. $2,129,000 was appropriated for 2021. That's the amount that you use to balance the current year budget. And $1,456,000 was unassigned. That amount is within the New York State 4% limitation. The only other real financial highlight, your capital projects fund spent approximately $7.7 million this year, predominantly on renovations project. So your capital projects fund at the end of June, if you look at the balance sheet, shows an approximate deficit of $8,437,000. That should not be a concern of the board because you also have bond anticipation notes outstanding of approximately $10 million. As those bond anticipation notes are either redeemed or replaced by long-term debt, that will eliminate the capital projects deficit. And if you also look at the combining fund balance, your total combined fund balance is $210,000. That should not be, don't be misled by that, because that includes that very large deficit in the capital projects fund. Okay? That's really the extent of my comments, unless there's any questions from the board?
When you say internal controls and compliance had no findings, I assume that means you come to that conclusion from doing sort of a random sample size of things. Is that correct? Is that a correct assumption? Like, it's not a complete A to Z of every transaction.
It's not a complete, so the school district is a government, and in New York State, you're required to perform all school district audits in accordance with government auditing standards. And when you issue a report under government auditing standards, you issue a report on internal controls and on compliance. And what we do as auditors with regard to internal controls is we document them. You know, we sit down, we understand what your policies and procedures are, and then we do a limited sample of walkthrough. So it's a report, it's not an opinion, but we did that, and we did not find any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. And then with regard to compliance, it's the same type thing. We consider the school district's compliance with major laws and regulations that could have a financial effect, the 4% limitation, passing a school district budget, that kind of thing. So we did consider that. It's not we don't audit either your internal controls or your compliance, but we do report on them. If we had any findings, we would report them. Any other questions?
I have a question. As far as just when you finish this report, do you make recommendations? Like, for example, maybe the high school funds, or are there other things as a board we should know going forward that you recommend? Or
We did have some management comments that we discussed with Lee and Faith. We also discussed the need to put those in writing, and we determined that there really wasn't anything of any significance enough to put into writing. Going forward, I think that the commentary that I heard earlier about having a finance meeting in the next week or so to discuss what's going on with COVID, that's probably the number one recommendation that we have with our school districts is just, pay attention to what your budget is. I mean, certainly, across the board with our clients, they're spending money on things that were not necessarily considered back in May and June when the budget's passed, and just pay attention and be aware of what's going on with New York State. Your school district receives a relatively insignificant portion of your budget is state aid, but some of our other school districts it's very, very large. So planning, I think, is probably the key thing these days.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody? No? Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. I think what we were going to do to make this a little more smoother is actually pull item 5 of our business meeting, which is to accept the findings of the audit. We're going to pull that out and just vote on that now. That makes sense? I think that's a little bit of a departure from the agenda, but I think it just makes sense to do that on the heels of the presentation. So I'm going to jump to that. So that's actually the item, if you're following along, is item 5 of the business, of the board portion of the meeting, part G. Thank you. So that is accept the independent auditor's report. Resolve to accept the district independent auditor's report for June 30th, 2020. Do I have a motion? Therese? Cynthia, second. Any comments? We had our questions. Any other comments? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. He's already gone? He's gone already. Okay. You had a chance to say thank you. He's gone already. It's late. I guess he wants to get home for dinner. Okay, good. So next is comments by the PTA. Ms. Mealy?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you guys, and thank you to everyone for all that you're doing to keep school open. I have so much to say, actually. I'm so glad you guys had very brief comments, because I don't. But before I jump into PTA reports, I just want to I have one ask. I understand that the Cottle pickup process has improved greatly. I don't have kids at Cottle, but I've heard that
There's been a lot of fine-tuning since school began, and parents are giving a lot of thumbs up about how that's been going. There's just one tweak I'd like to ask for support with, which is that because the middle school, high school dismisses around 2:10, and Cottle doesn't dismiss until, I think, 2:35 or so, what's happening is the early bird Cottle parents are arriving before 2 o'clock to line up for pickup, and they're taking up a lane of traffic on Crawford, which is forcing cars that are going in opposing directions to share one lane. And that's causing a new safety hazard and inconvenience. I'm hoping that if the cars just arrive later after the middle school, high school pickup is completed, that should help avoid any congestion there. But I just want to throw that out to you to see if it's something that the administration could take a look at and try to encourage, at least discourage that early bird arrival. Okay, that's my only downer. Everything else I'm so excited about. So thank you for not stealing all my thunder, Dr. Goodman. First off, I too want to thank and recognize the Board of Ed in this important week. We did post on our social media earlier today to thank you. And I just want to point out a few things. I don't have a proclamation or a fancy speech prepared, but I just want to say off the cuff that you guys have made our district so much better. And it's the 5 of you who are sitting here and your predecessors and their predecessors, and it just keeps building and getting better. And it is so important that the whole community remains vested in choosing the best trustees every year that there's an election, because who sits in these seats and makes the decisions holds a lot of power over how our district is governed and what decisions are made. It is because of our Board of Ed that we have in-person education. We are exceeding other schools in the area who either started in person later or don't have as many in-person days or as many in-person students. And in fact, I was contacted by a neighboring PTA who wanted to interview us about how we're doing it so that their school could maybe learn from us. They're jealous. It's also because of our Board of Ed trustees and the administration that we have that fund balance that was just noted. Thank goodness we have that. That's because of frugality and carefulness. We are also very lucky that our capital improvement project was just completed in time for the pandemic. Thank God for that too. And that was also an initiative that was largely driven by the Board of Ed. We also have Chromebooks at our children's disposal because of the Board of Ed. It was years ago that one of our trustees pushed for this, and some parents felt that, oh, maybe we don't need it, maybe it's too expensive. But again, other districts are jealous of us because our kids could learn remotely thanks to these Chromebooks. There are some families that are sharing home devices for work and school. And it's also because of the Board of Ed that we have Dr. Goodman at the helm of our district, shining the lantern to get us through all of this and to raise the bar across the board. So all of you guys, in case anybody doesn't know, the Board of Ed are all volunteers. Volunteers serving 3-year terms and really long hours. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you do. And I hope other past board members are watching, because anyone who has ever done this should have a permanent lifetime recognition award. I also want to shout out to the faculty. We sent a letter from the PTA to thank the teachers for what they're doing this week. There'll be more for them coming soon. And we also acknowledged Custodian Recognition Week. Today was an asynchronous learning day, and the custodians, we learned, were having a training meeting, so our hospitality committee provided a hot breakfast to them. And we were very happy to do that and appreciate the help of Marty Danko in coordinating that. Our Ways and Means Committee has also been busy. We held a family photo shoot a couple weeks ago where families signed up to be outdoors for family photos with a professional photographer just in time for the holidays. And that was organized by Beth Silvestri, who's sitting right here, who is not even on the PTA Executive Board, but just decided to help out and be nice. Coming up this week, we are so excited to have School Picture Day scheduled for Cottle kids who are in-person learners. We have Thursday and Friday set aside for those days. They'll be outdoors, and a lot of COVID safety measures will be taken for that. This is a fundraiser for the PTA, but much more importantly, we see it as a community service, because these are the pictures that are going to adorn everybody's mantles and be sent to grandma and grandpa and go in the yearbook. And we're really happy that we found a way to do that with a photographer who sets up outdoors. November 16th will be the date for 100% remote learners and for sibling pictures. Our PTA dance committee has also been busy. They had recently presented the completed, edited video of the Crazies recital that had to be done individually and then edited together and shared with families, and all the kids got to be in their fancy costumes, and it was well received. And now the PTA Dance Committee sent out a survey to last year's participating families to see if they wanted to do it again this year, and they all said yes, or most said yes. So we are going to move forward with a virtual dance program that will begin, we're hoping, the week of November 9th, and a flyer should be going out this week. Our Coddle Committee is also super busy organizing the Coddle Blaze, where students are invited to drop off their jack-o'-lantern, and PTA volunteers are going to assemble them for a drive-through experience this Friday night. And we also are soliciting pictures of costumed students so that the Coddle Committee could create a costume virtual parade in lieu of the one that we normally would hold in person every year. There also are some additional surprises in store for Halloween, but I won't blow that here. Our room rep committee has identified room reps for the classes down at Coddle, and our programs committee is planning a general meeting for November, which we're going to invite all of our members to. The date will be announced shortly. I also just want to encourage anybody who hasn't yet become a PTA member this year to please do so. We are working on new member benefits, and we'll be unveiling some new announcements shortly. And we're also revamping our website and introducing some new communication. So we've got a lot going on, and it's all very positive. We're very excited, and we also are respecting the hazards of what Dr. Goodman was sharing earlier about how some cases are popping up, the county's cases are going up. I've heard of a couple districts that have gone virtual because of cases in the building. So our PTA is playing it safe. We're not doing anything to take risks. We're doing everything we can to not push the envelope because we want to stay open and healthy. Thank you, everybody, for your support and for listening to my really long report. Good night.
I had one, one question. Is there a middle school picture date?
That's not being arranged through the PTA.
That's not being arranged.
So that will be
Okay.
announced.
There
Dr.
is,
Linehan,
and
I believe, is working on that.
Dr. Linehan may have sent something about, we're using a company to do the pictures.
Okay,
for
got it,
students.
got it. And then I just had a comment. I had goosebumps all over me when you mentioned that you, the PTA, acknowledged the great work of our custodians and showed appreciation for the work that they're doing. I just love that, and I'm so grateful that someone's thinking about our men and women who are here doing a lot to keep us open. And quite honestly, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be open. And so I thank the PTA, and I think I probably speak for the board, that they have been acknowledged and shown some love and appreciation for the work that they do. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, well, thank you. I like giving people goosebumps, so thank you.
I
That makes me feel good.
Don't I, Teresa?
We're going to thank the custodians all year. They are, even under normal circumstances, they really are amazing what they do,
Yes,
and they're
they
always
are.
helpful to the PTA as well with our programs. So they truly deserve a lot of recognition, and I'm
Absolutely.
glad that COVID is bringing that to light.
Yes,
Thank you.
beautiful.
Yeah, Susan,
Thank you.
like I said, I can't agree more with what you said. I mean,
Did you get goosebumps, Cynthia?
It's hard to get goosebumps, but I definitely felt a little something.
Okay.
But I also wanted to say, besides that, I know you're saying you have things to come with the Halloween thing. I had the pleasure of speaking with a second grade student while I was walking my dog. She was wonderful. She was so adorable. I spoke to her for 30 minutes, and she was speaking about how excited, well, she was a little disappointed that she wasn't going to have the parade, but how excited she was about the event to come. And she was telling me like all about it, and like, you know.
That's nice.
And then she had asked about past events. So whatever is going on, it sounds like the kids are sort of buying in, and you're making it exciting for them. And they're not thinking about, oh, I wish I had the old thing. So good job.
Thank
really.
you for that.
Excellent.
I should say, I am the one person who stands here to give the report, but I'm backed by about 40 people on the
Absolutely.
executive board who
Right.
do all this. They're not here, but they are amazing. These are the
Yes,
people
they
making
are.
these things happen.
Yep.
Agreed,
No, we
agreed.
certainly appreciate it, and you guys have just shown so much adaptability and flexibility. It would have been easy for you to throw your hands up in the air and say,
Right.
hey, we can't do much this year, but you're not doing that. You're finding every way to make things happen, so we really appreciate that.
Well,
Thank
you
very
guys
much.
didn't throw your hands up in the air, so we're in it with you.
And thank you very much for your nice comments about the board, really appreciate it, thank
Thank you,
you. And I saw the post too, thank you very
Okay.
much for that, appreciate it.
School community at its best.
All right, so that brings us to our first recognition of the audience for agenda items only. Do we have any takers on that? No? Okay. So next is our consent agenda. So motion to approve the consent agenda items 2 through 9. Do I have a motion? Perez? Laura, second. Any comments? No? All in favor? All right, great. So that brings us to business of the board. Item number 1 is resolved to approve the independent contract agreement with HMB Consultants LLC for the 2020-2021 school year in the amount of $4,150. Do I have a motion? Cynthia? Second? Laura? Any comments? All in favor? Okay, next is to approve agreement. Resolve to approve a contract agreement with Concordia Conservatory of Concordia College, New York, to provide music therapy services effective October 19, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, in an amount not to exceed $4,500. Do I have a motion? Therese, first, second, Lori. Any comments? All in favor? Okay. Number 3, resolve to approve an agreement with Dr. Rosemary Calgaris for school district physician services at a fee of $15,000 for the 2020-2021 school year. Do I have a motion? Cynthia, second, Laura. Any comments? All in favor? Right. Number 4, resolved, the Board of Education hereby amends Resolution H.1.-A from the meeting dated August 24th, 2020, to reflect the amount not to exceed $4,500 for the 2020-2021 school year. Do I have a motion? Therese, second, Laura. Any comments? All in favor? Okay, item 5 we've already done, so we'll skip over that. That brings us to personnel. Resolve to accept personnel action items A through F as outlined below. Do I have a motion? Therese, second. Laura, any comments?
I actually have
Sure,
a
go
comment,
ahead.
question, I don't know what category it falls under. For these club advisors that we're approving tonight, are most of these going to take place live, or will it be like a virtual type experience?
We are, a lot of them will take place after school. We're having a meeting on them, and we also have A and B kids, so it will be both, unless it's some reason that we can't do it that way because of, if it's the play or something like that. But we're having a meeting on it with Mr. Tobin on Wednesday
Okay.
And
to
so
see
if-
which
if-
way they will go.
If for some reason something has to be canceled, like, well, maybe not a play, but, I don't know, I'm looking to see, like,
Chess.
how would you do chess? Right, so will we be approving this, but then adjusting if that doesn't actually happen? So we
Yeah.
just do a zero?
Yeah, so we are
Okay.
approving it. We are working with our advisors. We think it's really important. I know I spoke about sports, and I really should say everything is not sports. And we want our kids to be well-rounded and be able to participate in their interests and develop leadership skills and intellectual skills and critical thinking and socialization. So we are one of the districts that is going forward with our extracurricular activities too.
Right. Very good, because if we
Good.
can do sports, we can do.
Right,
chess.
exactly.
Right, good.
Anybody else? All right, all in favor? Okay, that brings us to second recognition of the audience for non-agenda items. Any takers? No? Okay. So we're going to adjourn the meeting. We are going to go back into executive session to finish up our previous discussion.
Legal issues.
Was it?
Legal issues.
Legal issues, that's correct. We have some legal issues to discuss. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we, oh, we have to
Because we're
vote.
going back, we still need to vote to adjourn the meeting?
We're going back, you didn't know, we're going back to executive session.
Yeah, we'll go back to executive session.
I wish we were voting on it.